That's Beautiful by Elegance. That's my husband's favorite. And he did that recommendation. In fact, I miss Elegance. I like that band. Elegance. It's always. Maybe we're gonna go see them soon because I saw something. But my husband has that cover. Go see them Arcada Theater. There's a theater that has the honor is an Italian American. And I'm telling you, bitch is he may not be racist to everybody, but I consider him the motherfucking to be a racist. But that doesn't stop me from going and enjoying my music when my husband asks for me to do it. Anyway, good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday. It's Monica, your friend Monica. I know a lot of you are going to be doing something going to church, right? And trying to re-energize yourself for the rest of the week. I'm only asking you, like, while you at it, praying to God, your white supremacy God there, to also send angry letters to the white degenerates and the white supremacy house who are trying to commit another genocide in Cuba. Please send the letters, cuss them out. Do what black folks we do when we pissed off and we can't do shit. So we call you names, right? Call white degenerate, say, bitch, you raggedy ass motherfucker, you better stop committing crimes in the ocean who's trying to deliver oil to Cuban people. Fuck you, Donald Trump. Fuck you, J.D. man. Fuck you, Marco Rubio. Fuck you, Republican. Fuck you, the people who vote Republican. Say that. Like, do something like that. Do something radical. Yeah. I like to think cussing people out is radical. Okay. It's just a radical thing to do. Because, trust me, it might seem like a benign, but that pisses white folks off so much. I mean, I be listening to these right-wingers that be saying like, oh, what can we do in America to get rid of these people who call you bitch? That, literally, that's the argument. That's the argument of what can we do? How can we stop these people saying bitch? No, and then whether, and I advocate this. What pissed off the right wingers, that's what you need to do. If they don't want you to call them bitch, and they just want you to be well adjusted, well behaved, why they profit from genocides, you do what they don't like, okay? Because hey, I'm sorry, inbred Republican photo. I'm glad that you don't like me calling you bitch, but that's what I want to do because that's what my instincts are telling me. That's my proclivities, okay? You already think I'm an animal. I might as well behave what you expect, okay? So I want you to do that for me. Well, after you just send a letter, cast them out, you know? Send them like a millions of letters to the white supremacy house in Washington, D.C. Tell them that you don't like the fact they're raping babies. They're raping white babies and eating some of them, okay? Send them, do something. I mean, I can't believe the lack of outrage. Even for when white children doesn't even outrage this public, what can outrage these people? You know, I thought that was the most sacred of things. White children. But when that doesn't even move the public, I don't know what to say. It's only me here who's making these ranting videos and nobody even watches me. So something is really wrong here. And I think we need to recalibrate and take ownership and accountability and knowing that, hey, this is planet Earth. We didn't choose to be here. We were born here. We belong here. And we can't just let other quote-unquote humans do us this way. We need to take charge and say, hey, no more. Your depravity is coming to an end because you've gone too far, right? And that's what we need to get rid of capitalism. And that's why we have to read Dr. Parenti, right? Because Dr. Parenti is going to help us understand why the system is demonic, in other words, right? And we need to get rid of it and bring a system that actually engender good things in life, right? Right? It will get rid of racism, for example. Yes, people are still gonna fight. People may not like you because you have, you may be light skinned and they don't like light skinned people, or you dark skinned, you don't like, or whatever reason, you got a big booty where they have flat booty or what have you. People may have that, but it shouldn't be a structure that literally eliminate vast majority of us, right? And we should try and stay away from stuff like that. But anyway, we usually start the show with what I call what's happening in the world. And obviously there's a lot happening in the world, but there's a war that the white supremacists are trying to start in the Middle East with Iran. And the white supremacists know that this not gonna be, it's gonna be very consequential for them. Because when it comes to white supremacists, this is the thing. They don't mind attacking countries that can fight back, right? But they are afraid of countries that can retaliate, right? And make them pay a price, right? That's the thing. They don't want you to fight back. That's why they don't like leftists. Because true leftists, they had to cross as many true leftists because we uncontrollable, ungovernable, and we don't have respect for them. We don't have respect for this shit, right? And we just not gonna listen. So they don't like that. They don't like radicals, right? Now we're not radicals because we want to be radicals. We're radicals because the system is oppressive. It's anti-human, okay? Despite the propaganda that this is the land of the free, it's not the land of the free. It's the land of the slaves. Because when you go along, like my mother-in-law with her genocidal bat, you're gonna be okay. You will be rewarded. You will be respected. People will like you. When you're like me, who said, fuck this shit, this is a settler colony, y'all stole this land from natives, terminated and enslaved African, and now you're gonna tell me, you some kind of noble. They don't like me. If you look at my Facebook post, nobody put a like. I see some of the things that people like, and they get hundreds or like thousands, or some most the frivolous, dumb, brain down, but they like that, right? People love it. I mean, it attracts thousands. In fact, one of my own daughter, she put something that was nice and stuff, but it has so many likes. I was like, I've never seen that many people out here saw my kid, and that was my kid. I was kind of like thinking about, I'm like, oh my God, people like things. Nobody ever liked my shit. You know why? I'm not likable because I'm saying things that people don't want to hear. Like, this is a settler colony. This is a terrorist country, right? People don't want to hear that. People want to think that this is the land of the free, the best on planet Earth, So that's how it is. But I'm called being a leftist and being right. And I don't believe that some people need to have 3-car garage. Why Cubans now are preventing from having the oil delivered to them because the thugs in Washington, D.C., every time the oil tank trying to go, they steal the oil tank. And then they'll sell that oil so it can wind up in their portfolio. So I don't think that's just, right? So I'm not going to be a good citizen, so it's going to profit me and my portfolio. I'm going to question that. I'm like, that's raggedy ass criminal behavior, right? For example, I'm in here in this house, and I need food to be delivered to me, and then some dogs at the door prevent anybody or myself from going to get food for me to eat because they're trying to starve me. That's the behavior the U.S. does. There's an embargo on Cuba. Same thing Israel is doing to Palestinians. They've been starving Palestinians now for over 2 years. Like, these white degenerates, these settlers, they keep doing this. They've been doing that for 500 years. And instead of being remorseful and mend their ways and pay reparation for the bad behavior, with this Republican Party, they're doubling that. In fact, they think that's what you're supposed to do. And it seems like they stopped doing that, which they never did. And they want to now go back to aggressively go back to that. So, hey, you're damn right. As a leftist, I'm not going to just sit here and say, oh, yes, It's so beautiful and nice in the land of the free. We the best in the world. We exceptional. Even though as I can be showing you with my family play, if you dare watch that, these are just primitive. White folks still primitive, okay? They're the one who need to be civilized in terms of how they think about human beings on earth, or life on earth, and they need to start have these primitive, instinctual, anti-life attitudes. That's what my politics is. But anyway, going back to what I was saying before I went on a rant here. What happened in the world? The bottom line is they may start a war in Iran. And honestly, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. The thing about this, U.S. don't mind starting, especially with the primitive and the Republican Party. Democrats also start war, but they're more measured, right? They're more analytical. Republicans just think that we white and we superior. So what's the fuss about? These are Iranians. This is a mullahs. We can do whatever. Now Democrats may be like, okay, they may be mullahs, but I think they don't know how to read and write, right? As a matter of fact, Jeremy Scott Hill of Draftside News, who used to be on The Intercept, I saw an interview of him. He said something that is so cute. He said that when they were negotiating the so-called peace with the Palestinian group, and the Palestinians wanted to release a lot of the leaders, right? A lot of the leaders they have in prison in Israel. And it was a group of the white degenerates in Washington, D.C., and the Israelis, the apartheid state, that garbage that live in Israel, and the Palestinian, the Hamas leaders. He said that with, one of the vignettes was I picked up because I love vignettes, right? Because those are real. Those are just, one of the negotiators in the Hamas group, like he was laughing the fact that when they negotiate with Democrats know every detail about the Hamas leaders and everybody and everything, right? They actually make, despite they actually take that people who actually know how to read and write in the Democratic side of things. And then when they are negotiating, Democrats know. So they may know that Israel don't want Senate leaders and the Hamas to be released because they don't want that. They don't want another scene while out there in Palestine, organizing folk, right? So they want to keep those away forever. So Democrats would know that. But with the Republican, right, they don't even think Hamas are humans, essentially. It's like the Republicans said, why you don't want to just let them get out? What's this part about? In a way, it's good sometimes with the Republican because they're so racist. They so don't care. Like, for them, if you're not white degenerate in the Republican Party and the Heritage Foundation or whatever the think tanks over there with the fascists, that you're not human. They don't even bother to know who is who because for them, Palestinians are not human. They don't even know this. So for them, the negotiator Republican, the white degenerate administration, like, just let them, it's just a couple of guys. Why are you making a big fuss? He was still in Israel. And that's just how it is, right? The Republican, there's two parties. They both fascists, they both white supremacists. But one, it is more like, how can I say this? A kind of, like, when it comes to us black folks, we know, like, a nice master, the Democrats are the nice master, and the Republicans are bad masters, right? Now, for me, sometimes I prefer the bad masters because at least I don't have to go through this BS, the 90s and shit. I can just go through the straight. Like, these are my enemies here. There's nothing to talk about. I can just call them bitch because they don't like me calling them bitch. I'm not going to try to go the one that just want to be like nice and we have to have polite language and shit. We don't have to do that. We can just cuss each other out as far as I'm concerned, right? And that's what I meant with this. But anyway, to finish up, we don't know what's going to happen with Iran because the Republicans are in charge and they may assume the Iranians people are just, these non-humans that they can just exterminate like they did the native here and took over their land, and it may backfire, right? And I'm hoping that that's what's gonna happen here. Now, I don't want Iranian to die, but U.S. has already moved their shit over there, and I just don't see how they're gonna bring the shit back without using it, right? So that's not a thing. Like that, it would be extremely shocking if they don't use their garbage. They have moved all the way there in West Asia, North Africa, what you call the Middle East, right? So that's what's happening in the world. Another thing that happened in the world is that Mike Huckabee, this Christian fascist, he is the ambassador the ambassador of Israel, or the U.S. ambassador. U.S. sent that animal in Israel as ambassador, right? This fascist, Mike Huckabee, with a garbage name that, like Cat Williams would say, he has, who names the kid a bullshit we? That's what Cat Williams said. Mike Huckabee said that God give Israel the right to have the whole Middle East. The whole thing. Not just that little land that they've been claiming that's there, but God sent that God has the right, the Israel has the right to occupy, Now, I had to admit, I have having a fallout with black folk too with this shit. Let me tell you right now, anybody, and I have not seen that because I already know, anybody that praises Israel on my timeline is a black. That's it. I'm not even going to discuss. Anybody that believes the Israel is chosen by God is an automatic block. In fact, I don't even want to ever talk to you again. I'm not talking to brainwash like that. If you think that Israel has something to do with God, I have nothing to talk to you about. We in different planets. You can go fuck yourself as far as I'm concerned. Alright? So I'm not even going to get to that. Because anybody that I've seen with that, and I had to block people. That was it. I'm just now, because especially some of those people are parents and they grind, and that's a shit you teach your fucking kid. I can't, that level of brainwash, like especially the black folk. I'm not playing with that shit. Because that's the same shit they say about us here, that we were enslaved because God gave white folk, the Christian God told them to enslave us. In fact, they still believe that. With the colonial conquest, it's about God. If you listen to Marco Rubio's speech, that the people who don't believe in enslaving people are godless people. We godless because we want justice for human beings. But they are the God side because they want to go out there and exterminate the brutes. Right? That's why, because they're Christian God. I can't fuck with that. If you understand, go fuck yourself. Go to your fucking church. Do whatever the fuck you want. But I'm done with I'm not even talking to you. Alright? That's how I feel about it. But anyway, my Huckabee said that. And now I think some of their friends in the Middle East are a little upset about it because, hey, some of us here are Muslim and we don't know about the God, the Christian God, that's gonna now, we're not gonna no longer have these fancy palaces. It's just gonna be the Jews then. They're not too happy at that. I don't know what they're gonna do about it. But that's what happened. So the Mike Huckabee, he said God give Israel the right to occupy the whole, they call it Greater Israel. That's basically the whole Middle East. Okay? So that's what happened in the world. Now, you know that the play has finished, right? The play temporarily finished. But I dare say that if there's any other behavior that the family is demonstrating here, I'll bring it back. Now, I won't do that today, but I think I may do it tomorrow. There's something within the family that need to go back in the play and make episode 28. So tomorrow, we may say episode 28. I also want to say that on my YouTube channel, I think Facebook just like done with me with my with my video. They cannot put it where the They cannot put my videos where curious people would watch me or something. They have just said put me away, which is okay. I don't care. You know, if they want to do that, that's fine with me. It doesn't matter. But YouTube have done something, or is doing something. The videos that I haven't even promote. I don't share them. I actually kind of like put it there. They've been promoting those videos and people are watching them. And I have noticed like there's some geographies, for example, the Philippines, that like a lot of my video. You know, so I do appreciate. I don't know what they gain out of this. I hope they are learning my leftist lessons about stuff. I'm glad that they're giving me a hearing. But I will say that I think I have something to say. I just want people to know a little bit about leftists. It's obscure. It's not even understood. It's diluted. You hear about leftist ideas through the capitalists of fascists, colonizers, settlers, like the garbage that live in U.S. U.S. is a settler colony. These are settlers. They exterminated native, took over the land, enslaved African. They're not paying reparations. I have to admit, they are paying white Jews that came from Germany. They do pay them reparation, but they have not paying a cent to black Africans. They're enslaved for over 400 years. Okay? So that's what we're working with here. Okay? When they committed a genocide against their own people, they thought it was, those were not necessary white folk, white Jews. They are paying them reparation and they're giving them all this shit. In fact, they are telling them, hey, white Jews, why don't you go ahead and commit genocide against the Palestinians, right? Because we did you wrong, now you can do it to other people, right? But they don't do the same shit for African folks who have marginalized for life, okay? If you are black folk, you are ultimately the other. It's called the anti-black, okay? It's pervasive. Everybody is anti-black, including black people themselves. The way they view us, the way black folk view themselves, right? It's what's even more disturbing, right? It's the toxic thing, right? Now, I'm not saying I don't subscribe to this thing that now you have to be, there's some shit that it just disgusts me with the now black folk because they just want to prove that they're beautiful. As if like being ugly is a thing. Like, we don't have to subscribe to white supremacy ideas and try to purify life, right? Life is not beautiful. Life is a mix. You don't have to be perfect, all right, to be respected as human being on earth. You don't. White folks are not perfect, right? They have a spectrum in whiteness. They're human like us. We can just be human. All we just want is be human and treated like the rest of humans on earth, right? I'm not interested in the most beautiful black folk. I don't care. I'm not interested in the smartest black folk. I don't care. I don't care about the richest black folk. I don't care. Right? I'm interested in just black folk, black life, right? Black people, the spectrum, all of it. Now, everything from the black folk in the Philippines, like the people who watching me, that's YouTube tell me that's my top demographic here, to the black folks in Africa, to the black people who may live in places that you don't expect to be black, like Asia or something like that. I'm interested in black life, because I'm interested in human life, all human life, right? And I feel like anti-blackness, hating the black, anything associated with black, and loving everything white and everything associated with white is a problem. And I wish we can resolve that problem, and treat people as human. I don't think it's good treating white folks that they're so special as it's something. In my episode, I've tried to demonstrate that it's bad for white folk to be treated that way instead of seeing them as a complex human beings. See them like they're not superior. They actually kind of primitive like the rest of us, like I'm doing with the show. Right? That's what I've been trying to do. But anyway, we won't go through the thing. But tomorrow there's something I want to bring back and put the family episode number 28. Today we're just gonna go with Dr. Parenti with my new series that I call Monica is Reading Dr. Parenti. And by the way, speaking of Dr. Parenti, they just did a, I'm gonna share. The thing is this. When I share things, I don't know people clicking on it on anything. So I'm just gonna say that there's a video on YouTube. It was published by International Manifesto Group. It called Celebrating the Revolutionary Contribution of Michael Parenti. It was a Zoom meeting with thinkers, leftist thinkers, and they were just highlighting Dr. Parenti's life and work. He did us a tremendous work. He helped us out. He did not just the theoretical socialism. He actually took the time to look at the states that are actually trying to implement the actual socialism as it exists right now. Not as what we wish, but what it actually exists, right? And as a result, he was mistreated. He was treated like other. Dr. Parenti, I think he was living borderline in poverty because he couldn't get a job because he was uncompromising in these ideas, right? So, for example, he would defend Cuba, right? Now, there's one person I used to read a little bit, but now lost complete respect. Is Mr. Canton. He's a Hindu American thinker. He was, I think he was the fastest. He's now in the RT or something with Sputnik or somebody like that. But this channel that used to be like we can have some leftist ideas, now it's all fascist, like neocon, like like the right wingers, the ultra right garbage. So he's now with that shit. So he would just the Parenti would just say, well, look, Cuba, they're trying to do something, and why Mr. Chomsky would say, no, those are authoritarian. And like, how can you call a small country like Cuba authoritarian when they have a big hegemon? You think the U.S. would attack Cuba because they're authoritarian? No, they don't. The U.S. does not care. U.S. is the best friend with Saudi Arabia, right? I mean, stop trying to install our intelligence, right? It's because Cuba is trying to implement a social order that's different than the capitalists. They don't want to be raped by U.S., right? So we have to be critical of these so-called leftists, and actually, we cannot be like that, right? Like what I was going to say, Mr. Canton, he was criticizing Cuba. He's trying to say this more. I mean, I can't believe he's this dumb. I don't think he's dumb. I think he's just been bought off to trying to, because he come across from time to time as he's leftist, so that will caught some leftists off guard if you don't pay attention like a true leftist like me. Like he would say something like, because I can't stand those leftists who trying to have everybody. Like they want to have the right winger, the fascist, the garbage, and the Republican or ultra right, whatever the garbage that is. They also want to have us. They want to have this mixture, like a break umbrella, but it's not. We have no argument with the right wingers. We don't. I'm not gonna talk to a racist fascist. It's not a thing for me. We are a strong enemy. There's no argument you can put in place for us to get along. We don't, right? We don't. I'm not here to preserve white supremacy or preserve capitalism or any of that, or worship U.S. state. But I'm not putting an American flag on my fucking hashtag, on my Twitter handle. I'm not putting American flag anywhere. In fact, only American flag I have when my husband retired, and I have that just because it's my husband's stuff, not because I respect any of that. It's just my husband's service and shit. But not because I respect what that fucking flag represents. It does not represent me. If you are a true leftist, American flag is a genocidal flag. Right? It really represents white people. Okay? White life. Whiteness. Where they came here, got rid of the non-white, and took over. That's what that fucking flag is. It cannot possibly represent anything I care about. Right? So it's not. I can't go with that. But anyway, so Mr. Canton, she's trying to say that Cuba, that's not the U.S. embargo is not a fault. The fault is the Cuba, the way they manage things. That's not true. And in fact, I have read an article here that a piece that was written, and I'll bring it back. I forgot the Mr. Dr. Belkin Gillen, he demonstrates that how this works when it comes to sanctions. It's not so much that U.S. don't want to do business with Cuba. It's that U.S. prevent any other country from doing business with Cuba. Any other business. All right? That's it. That's what it is. Right now, Venezuela used to do business with Cuba, but now Venezuela can't do it. For him to say that, and he's supposed to be an intellectual, I mean, it caught me off guard. As much as I have no respect for him because I think he is racist. He hate Muslim people. He's a Hindu. He's this brown man that love white folk. Like, I think he he's white. Right? That piece of garbage. He called me out. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But I like that somebody replied to him because I don't even reply for him anymore. Once I feel like you bigot and you just insult our intelligence. That's elementary. You know how sanctions works. U.S. is the capitals. They own the shit. They control the markets. They control the finances. They control everything. Right? Cuba can only do business with a few countries that are willing to circumvent that. And even for China, for example, a lot of companies in China don't want to touch Cuba because they know if they touch it, they will be punished, right? And for him to say that is disgusting, right? So that's how you got to be careful with people who label themselves as centrists or semi-leftists. No, we do not need apologetic leftists. We need uncompromised Dr. Parenti. That's why I read him. That's why I respect him. I don't need people who trying to be nice with the master. I don't care about nice master. I just don't want a master at all. That's the kind of politics I want. That's why I'm gonna keep reading Dr. Parenti as long as I can because I want the doctors, Parentis of the world. I want a true leftist because true leftists will overthrow this shit. Get rid of them. Garbage like Donald Trump should not be president on anybody. Not even a town. They're primitive. They're dumb. They're racist. They're disgusting. We still have shit like that. But why we have shit like that? Because we have capitalism. That's why. Capitalism facilitate that. Because they have a lot of money and they buy a lot of people and they can corrupt this shit, right? Where there's no capitalism, we wouldn't have that because this who you going to like if you communist there doesn't we won't even have this class. Communists cannot create this billionaire class because nobody's gonna be a billionaire. It's not needed, right? But capitalism creates this fascistic, sadistic, abominable class that have power over humanity, right? So that's what we need to get rid of it. Anyway, well, yesterday we're gonna go to Dr. Parenti now. We started at chapter 9 and we were talking about class. Now we didn't finish the chapter and we learned a lot about class, right? Class is everything, all right? It's everything. Everything is class. Now one of the episode is censoring the hobby is episode 16, and I'm trying to share it today, but the ruling class have censored them. There's censor on Facebook and there's censor on YouTube. And the reason I think there's censor is because of this class thing, right? I don't say in those explicit terms, but if you see the episode, you know I'm talking about class. How they actually, the ruling class, the people who manage this shit, how they create class. How they systematically oppress classes like the the underdog, it's almost impossible to come out of it, right? And it's so difficult for them to come out of it. And when one of them comes out, and then they're trying to make an example out of it, right? As if the outliers count for anything in life. It don't. Outliers are meaningless, right? If we have a million black folk and one of them grow up to be like a superstar, that doesn't matter. Fuck that one who got a superstar. I don't give a fuck. There's the 99% that you left behind. And those are the ones I give a fuck about. We need to understand why the majority of us are just, all of us cannot be that stupid. They systematically do that. And that's why they don't want us to talk shit about class. They don't. They want to give us the illusion that the middle class, their favorite class, is somehow a hard worker. There's something special about it, and then the lesser of the poorest class, with something wrong with us. But that's not true. It's the opposite, actually. The middle class are narcissistic, they're vicious, and they do keep us oppressed, okay? And the reason why we oppress is because they don't want us to join their class. Right? Why has it to be the class? Why can't it not be all class? Right? I don't give a fuck about the middle class. The middle class will create stuff like my husband's children, where they don't want to go see their family because it's quote unquote white trash, but they like my husband's family because they quote unquote middle class. Okay? Fuck the middle class. Alright? Let me say that again. Alright, anyway, let's pick up the section we left off. Yes, the new section is gonna be the ABC Theorists. ABC Theorists. Even among the persons normally identified as progressive, one finds it reluctant to deal with the reality of capitalist class power. Sometimes the dismissal of the C word is quite categorical. At a meeting in New York in 1986, I heard the socialist Stanley Aronovich comments, quote, "When I heard the word C, word class, I just yawned," close quote. For Aronovich, class is a concept of diminishing importance used by those who repeatedly refer to as, quote, orthodox Marxists, close quote. Another left academic, Ronald Aronzo, in a book entitled After Marxism, claims in the face of all recent evidence that classes in a capitalist society have become, quote, less polarized, close quote, and class exploitation is not an urgent issue nowadays because labor unions, quote, have achieved power to protect their members and affect social policy, close quote. Are you kidding me? You gotta be fucking kidding me. There's no labor unions, but let's keep going. This at a time when many unions are being destroyed, workers are being downgraded to the status of contract laborers, and income gap is wider than in decades. Exactly. And as before, I said before, there's no labor unions in U.S. Not, I mean, capitalists don't even want labor unions. Right there, capitalists can do whatever. There is no such thing as labor union in U.S. There's a few of them for their favorite people, the police, the firefighters, and the teachers fight tooth and nails to keep whatever they have going. Not all places. Yeah, in places like Chicago, the Chicago Union, by these red states, there is no labor unions. None, zero. Right? But let's keep going. Many who pretend to be on the left are so rapidly anti-Marxist as to seize upon any conceivable notion except class power to explain what is happening in the world. They are the anything but class ABC theorists who, while not allied with conservative on most capital issues, do their part in stunting class consciousness. Exactly. Let's keep going. You see, that's why I don't fuck with the fake left. I don't even, I don't care. Like, even if they're a little bit, I just don't fuck with them. Especially when it comes to this economic issues. I can't, there's two things that just rub me the wrong way. Racism and compromising any economic issues and shit like that. I just not gonna even try. Right? Now some people may have a little bit backwards and some shit. It's fine. But it just, there's some, I just can't fuck with it. I can't fuck with it because the harm they do is beyond measure to me. Right? It's like some leftists, they be making some tweets that they make fun of working class people. How working class people, even though they're broke as fuck, they always trying to give the illusion that they have more money than they actually have. Where does that come from? You always want to present yourself as if you have money when you actually do not have. You're struggling. Where does that come from? That's a conscious thing. That's a learned behavior. That's not out of nowhere. You presenting yourself as if you're something you're not. Trying to keep up with the Joneses. It's a thing. Right? It's an indoctrination. Or trying to present, that's an indoctrination that have made, instead of saying, hey, I'm broke here and I'm working my ass up, but I can't get nowhere. Why is that? They don't have that attitude. They have the attitude of trying to present themselves to other broke folk, fighting with other broke folk, instead of trying to fight the middle class, for example. Right? Like, what the fuck? Why the middle class people have better schools than the other schools? One will ask. Why the middle class people, they just get picked up in the hours? Why the middle class people don't have police camping in their thing instead of ours, right? All that shit. They never questions that, right? And that's the conscience. It's an indoctrination. Everybody's indoctrinated with this thing, right? Because everybody want to be that class, the middle class, the upper classes. They don't want to be the poorer classes, the underdogs. The contempt for the unluckies is palpable. It's disgusting. Everybody want to be the upper class. Right? It's not, I can't take it. But anyway, let's keep going. The quote-unquote left, ABC Theorists, say we are giving too much attention to class. Who exactly is doing that? Surveying the mainstream academic publications, radical journals, and social scholar conferences, one is hard put to find much class analysis of any kind. Far from giving too much attention to class power, most U.S. writers and commentators have yet to discover the subject. While pummeling a rather minuscule Marxist left, the ABC theorists will have us think they are doing courageous battle against the hordes of Marxists who dominate intellectual discourse in the country. Yet another hallucination they hold in common with the conservatives. And the endless search for conceptual schema that might mute Marxist class analysis, quote-unquote left ABC theorists have throttled for years over a false dichotomization between early Marx, culturalist, humanist, good, and later Marx, dogmatic economic bad. As Marxist scholar Bilter Alleman notes, there's artificial counterposing transport a relative minor development in Marx's work into a chasm between two ways of thinking that have little in common. Some ABC theorists labor hard to promote the writings of the late Italian Communist Party leader Antonio Gramsci as a source of cultural theory to counteract a Marxist class analysis. See, for instance, publications like Paul Bacconi tell us during the 1970s and early 1980s, Gramsci, they said, rejected the economistic views of Marxist and Lenin and did not treat class conflict as a central concept, preferring to develop a more nuanced analysis based on cultural hegemony. So Gramsci was made into quote unquote the Marxists who saved the bring home to mother, close quote, as the historian D.J. Jackson puts it. And as Christopher Pills added, quote, Gramsci has become safe, Dame, Demure, a wisp of his revolutionary self-academic seeking to justify the retreat into highly obscure theories have created fanciful illusions about the quote counter-hegemonic close quote activity. They have created a mythical Gramsci who holds views he never did, including an opposition to revolutionary socialist organization of the sort that he, the following upon Lenin, held indispensable. Close quote. This was reported in Monthly Review on November 1995. Gramsci himself will have considered the representation made about him by ABC theorists as utterly misplaced. He never treated culture and class as mutually exclusive terms, but saw cultural hegemony as a vital instrument of the ruling class. Furthermore, he occupied a prominent position of responsibility in the Italian Communist Party and considered himself firmly within the Marxist-Leninist camp. To the extent that class is considered any attention in academic social science, pop sociologists, and media commentary, it is as a kind of demographic trait or occupational status. So sociologists refer to, quote, upper middle, close quote, lower middle, close quote. These are classes. And the like reduced to exactly, lower middle, upper middle. Upper middle class, there's the middle class and there's the rest of us. Okay, the middle class to me is people who actually have some professions. Okay, people who somehow wind up, and I think they are more or less that they inherit shit. For example, my mother-in-law here, she had a job. I think she was a nurse and shit, but also she inherited something. Her first husband went away. I think she heard something, and now that prop her up, or shit like that. Or they earn stuff like that. Like the stuff that minor character was saying, he's gonna leave his kids. So his kids not gonna be millionaires. So now they are like middle class, right? These are fucking middle class. It's a system that rig, right? The white folk know how to rig the system because it's designed for them. Black folk, we can never get to this shit. I don't care how many Oprahs they want to give us. It will never happen because white folks in charge. If the white folk want to bankrupt Oprah right now, they can. Right? So as long as we have white supremacy, this system is just for white folk. And we don't need it. We don't need a system that only white folk in charge. We need a system that is accommodate all human beings on earth, not just white folk. All right, that's what we need. We don't need the system that white folks in charge, right? They're in charge of the bank. Look at what the Europe does. They sanction, right? They can start Cuba, they can start Venezuela, they can start anybody, right? We don't want a system like that. It has to go. It's racist. And there's bullshit about upper middle class, lower middle. No, it's middle class and the rest of us, okay? The poorest people. It's the middle class, all right? You can call them, there's other names for them, the petty bourgeois, who love the bourgeois. The bourgeois are the people who in control of the economy. They decide what prices going to shit, how much people gonna get paid, the Donald Trump and shit like that, garbage like that, the Peter Thiel, the Elon Musk, those are the bourgeois, okay? And then there's the middle class, right? Now, I think the middle class, I hate the fact they call it middle class. The professional class, I believe in the professional class. Something they have exterminated in Palestine because they don't like the professional class of any country. They underdeveloped countries to prevent to have the professional class, okay? That's how they do this shit. So the people in those countries always flee to the fucking shit here, right? Make life, you can study all you want in France or what have you, but if you can go back home to Equatorial Guinea but you don't have a job, right, they're gonna pay you a living or shit, so you would do whatever to be in US, where you will get paid handsomely, right? That's how these degenerate colonizers operate. But anyway, let's finish up this section. Reduced to a demographic trait, one class affiliation certainly can seem to have relatively low political science. Society itself becomes a little more than a pluralistic configuration of a status group. Class is not a taboo subject if divorced from capitalism is plurative accumulation process. Exactly. Both mainstream social scientists and quote-unquote left ABC theorists fail to consider the dynamic interrelationship that gives classes the significance. In contrast, Marxists treat class as the key concept in an empire social order known as capitalism or feudalism or slavery, centering around the ownerships of the means of production, factories, mines, oil wells, agriculturalists, media conglomerates, and the like. And the need, if one lacks ownership, to sell one's labor on terms that are highly favorable to the employer. Class gets its significance from the process of surplus extraction. The relationship between workers and owner is essentially an exploitative one, involving the constant transfer of wealth from those who labor but do not own to those who own but do not labor. This is how some people get richer and richer without working, or with doing only a fraction of the work that enriches them, while others toil hard for an entire lifetime only to end up with little or nothing. Exactly. Both orthodox social scientists and quote-unquote left ABC theorists treat the diverse social faction within the non-capitalist class as classes unto themselves. So they speak of a quote blue-collar class, close quote, a professional class, and the like. In doing so, they claim to be moving beyond a reductionist Marxist dualistic model of classism. You see, I use the word the professional class. They want to say professional class instead of using the middle class. But the thing is this. Why is just them the professional? Everybody, I know poor people all my life, and the majority of my family are poor. I know they all could be professional, as far as I'm concerned, because I look at the quote-unquote middle class, like I have profile in this family. I don't see very professional behavior here. I see primitive behavior. So why are the middle class in my family and back home in Africa, for example, not professional class? Why anybody ever ask that? Because they are systematically, intentionally underdeveloped, so that we can have these special people, who just happen to be white, always in the middle class, okay? Y'all miss me. And see, and when you have this kind of commentary, nobody likes you. That's why I don't get no likes on Facebook. I get exactly 0. Nobody want to hear that shit, Monica. We trying to enjoy our Sunday evening. They want to pretend that shit is the way it is because it's the way it is. And frankly, it's not just white folk. Like middle class black folk are one of the meanest, evil people you ever see. Like, let me tell you a story. I was given a ride to this black woman. She called herself a doctor. Who's gonna name yourself a doctor on your motherfucking Uber app? She called herself an author. Now she lived in the uppity place in Chicago, one of the most expensive addresses. And I go, and then she has, I guess, servant trying to order her Uber. The servant came. I said, sure. And I tried to book her. She said, she come inside my car and look at it. Ooh, it's dirty. I don't like it. Ooh. And then you can tell that the working class people who was trying to order Uber was feeling bad for me. And the way she treated me and talked to me. Now she's a middle class black woman. Right? So now she's the middle class. And I'm supposed to like middle class black folk now? When she treat me like that, fuck them. Okay? This is why I say fuck the middle class. We don't need this fucking class. Fuck them. We don't care. We can do it ourselves. You know, you can just pick whatever poor person, put them in a hospital, and they'll learn how to be a doctor in a few days, okay? Fuck them. I don't give a fuck about these middle class black folk or any middle class. Fuck the class. That's what we don't need a capitalist system because they bring this bullshit class. Bitch had the nerve to insult me. They didn't care that I'm a human being. They didn't care how fucking I'm struggling and trying to make few money so my kids wouldn't starve today. And now I'm supposed to love to aspire to be in the fucking middle class? Anyway, let's keep going. Alright, what was that? Okay, but what is more reductionist than to ignore the underlying dynamics of economic class and the conflict between capital and labor? What is more misleading than to treat occupational groups as autonomous classes giving attention to every social group in capitalist society except the capitalist class itself, to every social conflict except class conflict? Both conventional and the left ABC theorists had difficult understanding that the creation of a managerial or technocratic social transformation constitute no basis change in property relation of capitalism, no creation of new classes. Professional and managerial are not an autonomous class as such. Rather, they are mental workers who live much better than most other employees, but who still serve the accumulation process on behalf of corporate owners. That's the quote right there. Did you hear what Dr. Parenti say? Did you hear? Professional and managers are not autonomous class as such. Rather, they are mental workers who live much better than most other employees, but who still serve the accumulation process on behalf of corporate owners. All right? We'll leave it there today. That's exactly what they are. Just because you know technical shit, right? You're an engineer. You know how to design shit, right? You still are working for the rulers, the capitalist owners, right? You still a worker. You're doing that shit. Now they live better than somebody who is a janitor, who is not, don't have that mental shit, don't know how to engineering, right? And then but they still that. But because they live better, now they have contempt for the lower classes, right? They both workers. One is doing something that's also useful. If it's garbage, if it's trash, I don't know how he's going to live in his fancy office where he's doing this shit, right? But you have elevated him to the point that he doesn't relate to the poorest person, while the same person on top is exploiting both of them, right? But he's so busy trying to be the owner, like the owner, right? And shit like that. That's the thing. But anyway, class is all it is doing this. That's all that the capitalism is about class, right? Because it's about class. And they do everything to maintain this class antagonism. And for me, as a poor woman, for sure, I want people to have to know how to do practical things. Like if I'm not feeling well, like I don't feel well right now, when I go to the doctor, I want to make sure the doctor. First of all, I want my doctor. The first thing I want them to do is to care and see me as human. And when I see them supporting the Palestine genocide, already made me like, for me, I don't really like. I don't want to see any white doctor anymore. Because, hey, the American Medical Association, they did not condemn the Palestine genocide. So that's already like, okay, white folks don't think Palestinians are human. I don't have no reason to see white doctor. That's just me. So, and I have seen so many of them support that fucking disgusting genocide and put me off with them. The second is, hey babe, can I have a kiss? The second is, and I know people of color may join them too, but at least I know people of color, they just look like physically like me. So they may say, okay, we look alike, so I may take care of somebody who look like me. So I just don't even fuck with the black white doctor anymore. I don't. That's just me, and I'm not racist, but I know genocidal freaks when I see one. Okay, I just not trusting them. I don't trust them. When they come back to now, if it's a white doctor, I know it does not support genocides. Then I join that, but I don't know who is who. I don't friends doctors. So I'm just gonna take people of color when I'm going get checked down. Like I don't know what's in my nose. I'm gonna go see a Hindu doctor, cause I know Hindu look just like me, and she could do something, right? But I'm not fucking with white doctors. Period. I'm just not fucking with them. And if I'm in a hospital, I don't know who's going to be at a hospital. If I'm in a hospital, whatever, my husband is responsible to make sure they're not doing shit to me. I mean, I can control who's at a hospital. But as far as I'm concerned, if I had to go out of my way, I'm just not fucking with white doctors for now. You know, they have proven themselves through the genocide in Palestine that the only people they think is human is white folk. And I can fuck with people who think that it's only white folk who only exist on planet Earth. I want people who knows for a fact that all humans, there's more than white folks on Earth, planet Earth. Right? Those are the ones I'm interested in. Right? People who are selected in terms of who's human or not, who's not sure, ambivalent about who's human on Earth or not. I can't fuck with them. Okay? That's that. Alright, so what was that? So that's it. That's it for Dr. Parenti. We're going to continue with this book. We just read one section at a time. And tomorrow we'll pick up another stuff. We'll pick up another section. But I think I'm going to bring something else for the family trip, because something that was communicated to me yesterday through my husband, I'll bring it back. We'll put episode 28, right? Now, I noticed that people are not subscribing to my channel. Please subscribe, okay? If you want my channel to stay, subscribe, alright? Because I just don't want YouTube to get rid of my channel. If I do that, I will create a Substack and put my videos on Substack, you know? I also will create a Rumble. If they do delete me this time, there will be the second time they delete my YouTube channel. If they do it this time, I would just leave YouTube, and I would just have Rumble and Substack, right? I'll have those, but I don't have them right now. I'm just gonna do YouTube, because I mean I've been using YouTube forever, so you use what you know. But some leftists who have been banned from YouTube have went to Substack. That's why I watch them on Substack. So I know it works, so I would do that there. But I do recommend you to subscribe for me so they can keep it up, because they were trying to use excuse, like I said, like this is a scam, instead of the fact that they just don't like my ideas. My ideas is I hate capitalism. I want it to destroy. I hate imperialism. I hate white supremacy. Those are the ideas that I'm just against, right? And that's the thing. They don't want that. They want you to worship America, you know, and worship the genocidal flag, and to worship my mother-in-law grocery bag, the land of the free, home of the breadwinner, is the land of the slaves. and the genocide. Okay, that's the land of the genocide. Okay, they don't want me to say those things. They don't want me to say that how they systematically create these classes, how they prevent certain demographics, certain group from coming out of the original class to the more, you know what I mean? And it shouldn't even be a thing. You should just have dignified life and whatever. Even if you know what I mean? Every human being should be able to reach the best they can reach in life, right? I don't think everybody need to be the super smart or super, or everybody should be accommodated. That's what society is supposed to do. But instead, they rig the system. They do where if you don't have a father that the minor cat or thumb who knows that they can buy a life insurance policy, right? That can, if he die, it will leave millions to his kids. Now his kids, look, they're so good people. They have millions of dollars. Right? And meanwhile, I cannot afford to do that, to leave my kids millions of dollars. So now with that, they're superior and my kids are inferior? No, that's the system for you, right? That's the system for you. Alright? No, we don't want shit like this. Fuck that shit. And guess how insurance started? It started with slaves. It started with African slaves. The system the white folk had now profiting for, it started by slavery. They don't want to say that. That's how they profit is something that started with slaves. Alright, but anyway, that's all we're gonna do today. We're gonna go ahead and get us some jams. I don't know what y'all wanna hear. Okay, I already overplayed American J Blast. Ugh. Man, what can we hear? You want to hear? Okay, let's listen to the Blackstone Cherry, okay? The Blind Man.
Hey, buddy. It's been a minute. There's only one Nocente.
Build a website you love with Wix, where your words